we need to have an honest and uncomfortable conversation. Because what is happening in our townships right now may feel like a solution to many frustrated people. But in reality, we are slowly damaging our own economy, our own future, and even the country's position throughout the African continent. Yes, unemployment is real. Poverty is real. Crime is out of control. Illegal immigration is a serious issue that the government must deal with properly and lawfully. But listen very carefully. Destroying foreign-owned shops, threatening workers, attacking street vendors, and chasing African foreigners out of communities is not fixing the country. That's not fixing the country. But then it is weakening the country. Many people don't realize this. The township economy survives because money exchanges hands. Money circulates between different people. That Somali shop owner buys stock from South African wholesalers. That Zimbabwean mechanic rents from a South African landlord. That Ethiopian trader uses South African transport services. That Nigerian barber pays electricity, taxi fare, and local workers. Now, when violence starts, obviously we have seen shops close, businesses flee, stock disappears, prices rise, landlords loses income, local workers loses jobs, customers suffer. Even those hustlers, in the auction, they suffer because they stock from these shops. And then what happens? The same poor South African community becomes poorer and poorer. After all, you cannot grow an economy through fear. You cannot create jobs through intimidation. You cannot build a nation through hatred. But let us even go deeper. South Africa is not isolated from the African continent. South Africa is not isolated from the rest of the continent. South African businesses are spread throughout the African continent, as you all know. We've got banks throughout the continent, cell phone companies, supermarkets, mining companies, retail chains, insurance companies, logistics companies. South African corporations make billions across the African continent. Now think carefully. What happens when African countries constantly see videos of Africans being attacked in South Africa? Resentment grows. African continent governments will begin losing trust in South Africa if they haven't lost it. Tourists will avoid South Africa. Trade relations will weaken. Business partnerships will become politically sensitive. Some African consumers may even begin boycotting South African companies if they haven't started already. I've seen it in Nigeria and many other countries in Africa. They've already started boycotting South African companies. And remember, many South African companies operating across African continent employ South Africans either directly or indirectly. If continental relations deteriorate, you know what will happen? Investment opportunities will shrink, exports will suffer, regional cooperation will become weak, and South African jobs will become vulnerable too. Africa is becoming increasingly interconnected economically through continental trade agreements and regional markets. South Africa should be leading the African continent economically. I mean, honestly, we should be leading the rest of the continent economically speaking. So South Africa should be attracting investment from across the continent. South Africa should be building influence through innovation, manufacturing, and trade. But every xenophobic attack damages that image. And international investors are also watching everything. When investors see burning shops, mobs demanding papers, intimidation, and instability, you know what they think? You know what they think? They don't just think foreigners are being attacked. They think this country is unstable for business. That's what they think. They think South Africa is unstable for investment and for business. And when investors pull away, factories will not be built. Businesses will stop expanding. Jobs will disappear. The economy slows even further. Then frustration will grow again, over and over again. And then the cycle repeats itself. Let us be honest. Many South Africans are angry for real reasons. People feel abandoned by the government. People feel excluded from economic opportunities. Communities are struggling with crime, unemployment, and collapsing services. Border control failures have created frustration. These concerns are real. But the real enemies destroying the country are corruption, state capture, poor leadership, collapsing municipalities, weak education systems, criminal syndicates, economic inequalities, and youth unemployment. The poor foreigner in a township did not create Eskom collapse. The poor foreigner did not steal billions through corruption. The poor foreigner did not destroy municipalities. The poor foreigner did not collapse state-owned enterprises. We fought apartheid because we believed in dignity, humanity, and justice. Now imagine becoming a society where ordinary civilians stop people in the street demanding identity documents like vigilantes. That is not nation building. That is social decay. This does not mean borders should be open. I don't mean that. Every sovereign country has the right to secure its borders, deport undocumented immigrants lawfully, fight crime, and prioritize citizens in economic policy. But there's a huge difference between law enforcement and mob justice. A functional country uses police, uses home affairs, the courts, intelligence agencies, and lawful immigration systems. Not mobs, not fear, not violence, not vigilantism. Because once mob justice becomes normal, eventually nobody is safe. Even South Africans will be affected by mob justice. Even now, South Africans are affected by mob justice. Today it is foreigners. Tomorrow it becomes tribes, as we have seen. Then political opponents. Then ordinary South Africans themselves. History has shown this many times, even now. As a country, we don't need civil conflict. We need rebuilding. We need stronger borders. We need economic growth. We need factories. We need entrepreneurship. We need education. We need investment. We need skills development and honest leadership, not hatred. Because in the end, a poor South African mother and a poor, foreign mother are both trying to survive in a broken economy. If we destroy our township economy, damage continental trade relations, and isolate ourselves from the rest of Africa through violence and hatred, everybody loses. South Africans, we must wake up before anger destroys the very country we are trying to save.